Hello and welcome to Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish, Season 2, Episode 5, My Soul Hikes to the Call. Let's meet our heroes, and I'm going to go in the order in which you are on my screen. So let's start with Mr. Alcuin Gersh.
Hey, I'm Alcuin Gersh, and I'm playing Rayonde, the Dragonborn monk.
D'Artagnan.
Hello, I'm D'Artagnan, and I will be playing Xander, the human fighter.
Aki.
Hi everybody, I'm Aki, and I play Kerrin and Karrin, your elf clerics.
You guys don't want to know how much thought goes into me saying Aki correctly, and I'm going to mess it up before this is over, but at least I am exerting an effort. Sam.
I'm a swashbuckler. I'm a rogue. I'm Sam the Leve. I'm playing Aiden.
I mean, accurate intro is accurate. And last, but certainly not least, a far more pared down and stealthy melee damage.
The wig is currently under construction at the moment. But yes, I am melee damage, and I will be playing Helene.
It is not the outer wig. It is the inner wig that is the source of the power. You know? So
I'm unbelievable today. Unbelievable.
You just have to believe. And again, as always, thank you to Q Times for having us here. I would normally give them their shout out later, but I'm feeling particularly filled with joy from my own inner wig, wanting to say thank you to Q Times. As independent content creators, we rely on both your generosity in the forms of bits and tips, but also by supporting our sponsors that make this show possible, like Q Times. There's something interesting on almost 7 days a week now, maybe 7 days a week. And you can see a lot of these faces on a lot of those shows, but also other faces that still need looking at. So, toss a follow to Q Times, even though you might be watching us on D&D. There's room in our hearts for all of these wonderful streaming platforms and content creators. D&D Beyond, which normally, this is when I point to my chest for my D&D Beyond shirt, but I'm wearing the new Lambert House shirt, which should be available soon. But D&D Beyond is the official digital tool set of Dungeons & Dragons. It's got dice rollers, initiative trackers, encounter trackers. It's got all the maps, the books, the ways to set up your characters in the most interesting way possible, and it is incredibly useful. Every time I'm forced to play without it, I feel like demonstrably sad inside. I've been so spoiled by D&D Beyond. So definitely check that out. And it will also be the first place you can get the new Rime of the Frost Maiden expansion, even before the hard copies are available. So check out D&D Beyond. Dogmite Games makes a ton of kick-ass gaming gear for all your tabletop needs. Again, I hearken unto when I can get back to the table with my deluxe Dungeon Master screen with my beautiful dragon on it. But in the meantime, they can make something dope for you with over 30 customizable templates for all your Dungeon Master screen needs. Level Up Dice. I'm partnering with Level Up Dice to bring luxury gaming goods to you good people. You can get them made out of all sorts of, honestly, nearly anything that you can think of. So visit Level Up Dice, or you can use my link, which is bit.ly/LUD B Dave Walters to find out more. My Level Up Dice are right over there sleeping. I missed my opportunity to grab them silky smooth, but now I'm stalling only slightly. There you go. There's one of them. Hey, boom. In fact, these are my Egyptian marble dice, like a sir, actually. Those are my Egyptian marble dice. I feel like I please my ancestors when I say I have Egyptian marble dice. Just we made it. We made it. And last but certainly not least, Games for Love. Games for Love is a 501c3 charity aimed at easing the suffering of children. It was about to come out of my mouth as a 501c3 cruelty-free charity, and in my own head, I was like, but wait, what are the not cruelty-free charities?
That's for Vampire the Masquerade.
That is for Vampire the Masquerade. Those streams support the extra cruel charities. These are the cage-free organic charities. No, but really, all jokes aside, gamesforlove.org. Every $10 donated directly impacts the lives of 2 children. The quarantine and the pandemic has been difficult. Even though you might hear that children are largely resistant, children that already had compromised immune systems have been in heavy quarantine and oftentimes can't even see their family during these times. And so we've been raising money to get them things like switches, gaming peripherals, so they can at least connect digitally with the people they love. So visit gamesforlove.org to find out more. And now, on with our story. Now, when we last met, I myself did not meet with you beautiful people, and I missed you dearly. I was off inflicting emotional trauma on the D4 crew, which is going to be fine. That's all. Everything that happened to them doesn't really matter at all. So who would like to be the recaptain for what took place to our fair adventurers here? I realize that's supposed to be not it, but I very much interpret it as me. Like Sam, you're like, I'll do it. I want, yeah. But do we have a volunteer?
I think I can do it. I think Rayonde has some opinions about what went down last time.
You know, Rayonde is a solid, even-handed guy. Yeah. What happened, Rayonde?
Well, to debrief in brief, um, at the end of fighting Bone Claw, I believe it was, and a Beholder, I think that's what they are in the books. Anyway, Orb with Eyes. We were, in a flash of light, we were teleported to the Underdark, which I sussed out immediately as being the Underdark, based on previous experience. And we ran into there was a sort of source of power, a Feyres or some sort of magical thing, which, as usual, Helene had an unhealthy interest in. And then we ran into some bioluminescent fungus, some glowing mushrooms of some sort, which, of course, my idiot friends all decided to eat in great quantities, even when that's true, the twins did not eat them because they are sensible. But the rest of them did. There was some strange side effects. And then, of course, as is oft happens to us, there was another tale in reality where an unspeakable elder god monstrosity came through. It was like a pillar with these hooved legs and tentacles. It was awful. And we fought it. I managed to almost get stepped on. A few other people were stepped on. I won't say names because it's quite embarrassing. But there will be hopefully improvement next time we try to fight a three-legged pillar of chaos. I was able to successfully stun it. Aiden was able to successfully stab it multiple times, very, very well. And with another flash of light, we were. Where were we? Oh, we're here now. What's going on?
I feel like that definitely hit all the high points. Did anyone have anything else to add to Rayonde's account of events as I pour this drink all over myself? Apparently, I've developed a drinking problem. I just cannot do it. Does anyone else?
I
Yes.
believe we banished the creature.
I mean, that was an important point. It's
that was how it was ended, with a good, a solid banishing.
From what I understand, Helene first drove it off the prime material plane, but it wrenched itself back to only be subsequently driven off the prime material plane again by the twins in the combined might of your onslaught. And again, I'm sure there will be no lingering consequences or repercussions from your run-ins with those people or those entities or that cult. I'm sure it's all behind you. You've heard the last of all of it.
That sounds incredibly sarcastic, and I don't believe you.
No, it makes perfect sense. You see, behind you is the best position for a backstab.
You can't argue with an expert. But yes, as you all stand there for a split second, heaving and exhausted on the heels of several days of difficulty that were supposed to be simple. It was supposed to be no strings attached, just a quick trip out to visit to see if just one young girl's family was doing fine because they'd quit responding to her letters. And you all were set upon a series of complicated events. And as you stand there for a second, taking in the fact that you had banished this elder horror off the prime material plane, there is another flash of light. It sweeps through you. It is blinding in its intensity, but this time it is slightly different. Whereas the last one was cold and terrifying and confusing, this one is actually warm and inviting. And as you find yourself taking a deep breath to be returned to Crestholm, presumably on the spot standing over your vanquished foes, you are not there. As you all appear, you see each other, standing in a lush, beautiful forest. Huge, towering trees that go up so high as to almost be incomprehensible. Up into the canopy, you see beautiful, multicolored birds wheeling overhead, and the scent of fresh flowers wafts through the wind. It is heavenly.
I have a feeling we're never going to see Peter parkour again.
Yeah.
Make some sort of noble sacrifice.
I'm okay with that.
Do I recognize this place?
Yeah, that question. That's a question. That's good.
Do
You
we
can
recognize
give,
this place?
you can all give me perception checks. I legit was about to say wits and awareness. That is a very different game.
How high are these trees?
I mean, they might be twisted up, like don't harsh their mellow, you know? But I mean, they look like they go hundreds of feet into the air. In fact, well, first give me that perception, and let me see what you get, and I'll give you some of this stuff pending who sees what.
Natural 20.
Natural 20 from Aiden. Again, especially for those of you that don't usually join us, we only really play with one house rule. A 1 always fails and a 20 always succeeds, even on skill checks. That is, the highest highs are the lowest lows, because there's nothing more soul crushing than to roll a natural 20 and still fail at something. So, Aiden, you think these trees 2, maybe 300 feet into the air with a thick canopy overhead of entangled branches, and yet there's still sunlight on your face. Like you look around, it's like there's no direct source of it. In fact, there is a thick tangle of trees over you, but it still feels warm and sunny somehow. This is not a place that any of you recognize. Although Karrin and Kerrin, what did you all get?
Dirty 20?
It is not the Feywild, but it feels a lot like the Feywild. As children, you all would have been taken through the portal, to see where your people come from, and that prime, wild, untamed place that is so similar to the prime material plane, yet fundamentally different. Even though the vibration of this place is different, it doesn't feel like the mortal world that you're familiar with. In fact, if anything, it's just a little too nice. The air is so crisp and the flowers so nice, and just big chubby squirrels climbing up and down trees. You hear especially Aiden, you hear the odd crunch of what is probably a deer of some sort. You can barely make out some antlers through some bushes. The scruffling of sort of like a rabbit rooting nearby. It's just beautiful. Maybe you're dead.
This is bad. This is so bad.
Yeah, I think if it was a hellscape, I'd be like, oh, all right, I can handle this. But this is obviously some sort of trick.
It's not the Feywild, we know that much. But it's not too far off, I guess. We guess.
I think this is a sign that we should have a picnic.
Did somebody say picnic?
What was that?
You all hear. And through the wonder of modern technology, I can share with you all a picture of exactly what it is that you see, but I will describe it for our friends at home. Aiden, you see it first, but eventually you all do, as it's not particularly trying to hide itself. Up in the trees, out of the canopy, and again, the non-specific sunlight is very odd. You see a golden little pot-bellied thing that looks like a tiny little winged elephant with a bright smile on its face, flying down out of the trees.
This is so bad. I love it.
Hi! Who said picnic? I like picnics.
Oh, I was just an idea. What's your name?
You know, that's funny. Nobody ever asked me my name before. We just sort of exist. What do you think is a good name for me?
Goldie?
I like Goldie. That is my name now. I am Goldie. Yes, this thing, it is a golden color. It shimmers faintly in the sunlight. It has vaguely anthropomorphic arms and legs, but if it was like if an elephant were a Pegasus, but about the size of maybe a big cat or a very small dog. And it's got a little trunk that it just sort of is like sniffing at you as it's looking. It's like, but now that I have a name, are we having a picnic?
Sure, Goldie. Can you help me with something?
Maybe. I'm not very strong, but I'm very smart.
That's perfect. Smarts is exactly what I need. Do you know where we are right now?
Yeah, we're right here.
That's fantastic. Where is here in the context of this world?
Oh, you don't know.
I don't.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. And it very much like floats right over to you, Xander, and just like stops flying and like plops itself into your arms. Like
I'm filled with joy.
and it reaches up with its trunk and like wraps around your neck and like buries its head in your neck like a hug. It's like, oh, can we play a guessing game? I will give you all a hint. You're in a place that starts with an A.
Asherus.
I realize your characters possess knowledge that you humans may or may not. So knowing that he just told you it starts with an A, let me see what role I want you to give me.
Can I just give a belly rub instead?
Oh, of course. No, I'm not gonna tell you the answer. You still gotta guess. You still gotta guess. No. Yeah, it's like his little wings flutter around. You can give me history, or honestly, you can give me arcana or history or nature or religion. There's many different ways you could know. As he left,
Rayonde.
19 for a Rayonde.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Well, let's you others roll, because if anybody else gets 20s, there may be other things you still know about this place.
Helene got a natural 1.
Helene is successfully disbelieved. Like you're just one of those tummy servers. That's just this like chunky little wow.
She does.
Yeah. Like Helene is, you're like you're scratching him on his tummy, like he's like touching your hair with his trunk. Like, where's this coin from? Where's this coin from? What's this shiny thing? You know? Karrin and Kerrin, as you stand there sort of taking all of this in, you are in the Olympian glades of Arborea. This is, in that creature, I will give you a double with a natural 20, because there are 2 of you, is a Hollyphant. You are muted.
We're in the glades of Arboreum. And you're a Hollyphant.
Yes, I didn't know you were gonna get it so quick. I can't talk. I didn't know you were gonna get it so quickly. Yes.
We've read about this place. It's really nice to meet you. Do you have any friends?
You all are my friends.
Oh, see, now that's just sweet. I mean, I like Peter. I think Peter is a great companion, but if we're going to start ranking based on that, this Goldie is excellent.
I don't know who Peter is, but I'm sure they're very nice. Oh yeah, sorry, Helene. What'd you say?
This one does seem a bit more sociable.
Again, with a natural 20, Karrin and Kerrin, which you all know, the Olympian glades of Arborea, also known as Mount Olympus. They exist in the outer planes, and there's actually a significant overlap between the gods of Toril in the realms and the planes, and other strange gods that people in some far off place worship. Some place called Greece, which That didn't make sense. Maybe you're misremembering that because grease is for cooking. That's not really that's not a thing. But you do know while it is wild, it is basically the supreme forest. Even though it is a good place, it has its own dangers, as all forests do. You know, there are still predators and those that eat and are eaten. But all things being equal, it is a good plane.
We exposited that to the group.
Good plane. Like, just knock on a tree. Just good. This plane will hold up here. Like,
So, does anyone know how we might have gotten here, though?
the same way we got to the Underdark.
Aha!
That's true. They were very similar.
Someone seems to be portaling us around.
Does that
Right.
mean? Does that mean we might have to fight another goat thing from a portal? Because it seems that's been kind of the situation lately.
I don't think this doesn't really look like goat portal real estate.
Or, hear me out. It's a nice plane of existence. We just stay here and picnic with our new friend.
You think we just got teleported here for a good time?
No, but I'd like to think that's the case.
I mean,
Everybody-
maybe it wasn't for a reason. Maybe it was like you could bounce to anywhere, and maybe a good thing happened to. Okay, no, I stopped believing it halfway through the sentence.
Yeah.
Aiden, give me your perception check again.
Oh, that's a 19 on the dice plus 9, 28.
You and you alone, hearing a breeze on the wind. Aiden. And there's a strange familiarity in it when you hear it.
This place is.
What's wrong, Aiden? What's going on?
The thing.
What
On the
thing?
wind, the little breeze words. They said your name, right? Yeah,
No.
me neither. So, are we doing that picnic?
Excuse me, I was led to believe that there would be a picnic. I am prepared to provide you a number of lovely berries. I must insist that it is a vegetarian picnic. The rabbits and squirrels around here are my friends. But I believe that you will find a very nice place to sit and relax for a time. And he very much puts his little trunk out and he grabs you by the chin, Aiden, and looks at you and like turns your head to the side and the other way. He's like, you look like you need a break. Your eyes are all.
My eyes are fine.
I actually agree with him. I think we all need a break.
Right? Yeah. Hey,
Break.
you see, he like holds his little I was gonna say hands, but they're not hands. More like they are little elephant feet. And he like, wiggles his fingers a little bit, and you all see energy starts to swirl around him. And you see on one of the trees that you all are standing next to, the trees are, I would describe them almost like Pacific Northwesty. Like there's like, a lot of like pines and things like that around. But right there on the nearest tree, you do see like bundles of berries start growing. And out of the side of the tree, there's like, you hear a little like a pop. And what looks like a purplish water starts flowing out of it that is very sweet when you smell it.
Helene tickles one of his toe beans as he wiggles his finger.
You gotta break my concentration. You stop. And you do see the water flow does just like it gets erratic as he giggles, and then it's like, okay, wait, no, I got it. You just stop. And then he like tickles behind your ear with his trunk. He's like, you see how you like it.
So, as descendants of Fae, we know a little bit about how things work when you go into the Feywild. Do we know any of the rules of the Arborea?
Again, I would say with your natural 20, you would know there's no danger from eating this food. It's not like if you eat it, you'll be like cursed and have to stay or anything like that. It's like if the Feywild is the essence of just nature, just raw, unbridled nature, including the fact that nature will like super murder your face on occasion. This place is more the essence of the forest.
So they took all
Yeah.
the good murder out.
Oh no, there's some good murder here. It's just
Probably not in these berries.
Not in the park.
Then why
Yeah.
don't we set up for the picnic and I'll just take a quick perimeter sweep? How's that? And I'm out.
You're like, cool. Hold on. Give me your stealth. Let's see how convincingly you even shake your friends. Because by now they know this song, Aiden, where you're like, hey, I'm just gonna.
Do they know this for a 24?
Does anybody try to follow him? Because you know what he's gonna do when he sort of like takes that step backwards.
I miss everything for sure. My face is underneath that purple liquid. So
I mean, if I wanted to see him, I could, but I respect privacy.
You know,
You do you.
not all, I was gonna say not all heroes wear capes, Rayonde, but you often literally wear a cape, Rayonde. So I'm not saying.
It's a good accessory. It's a very good accessory.
I mean, Kerrin has a decent vested interest in keeping their eye on Aiden as long as they can, so they try, even though they fail.
Again, it's like he's there, he's not there.
And they could all do this too with practice and professional. We don't need to go back to that well.
I'm already at your level still.
The moment Aiden disappears, Goldie just whips his head around. It's like, what? Where'd that guy go?
It's what he does. You get used to it.
Yeah,
Well-
you'll hurt your head trying to figure it out.
He pops to a red berry and a green berry and just goes to shoot them into the twins' mouths. Like, I mean, if they like violently resist, he'll stop. Otherwise, he's like, whoop.
They'll eat them.
The green berry tastes like cherry pie, and the red berry tastes like banana cream.
These are delightful. You guys should try them, and you'll probably be fine. These aren't like the Feywild.
Oh, Goldie.
I would just say, Xander, you said your face was in the purple liquid.
In the purple liquid, yeah.
Yeah, it is that purple drink in the arboretum.
Got it.
You know, it's weird. It like stings a little, but it tastes kind of like cough syrup. But it's nice though. No, you, it feels almost like fizzy, almost like it should be a beer, but it's not. Although you do feel yourself sort of like tingle and relax, but like you don't lose like your senses. You just sort of feel like cheerful, like a little giggly.
Goldie is amazing.
He's like, you like the giggle water? I thought you would. I thought you would.
With you actually to show my appreciation for what you've done for us already, and I grab into my pack mushrooms. I want to get.
No, don't give Goldie those.
Rayonde, do you intervene? Because Goldie super picks one up with his trunk and is about to go down the hatch with it.
You don't know how it reacts to your arborean metabolism. It may not be safe. I think Goldie. Stop it, Xander, don't give them that.
He looks at you for a second, Rayonde, and like still holding it with his trunk by his mouth, slowly turns his eyes to Xander and is like, "Are these trick mushrooms, Xander?"
I eat one with him.
Oh no!
Xander, roll a d100. Roll percentile.
Got it.
I
Helene,
do.
shaking out like her cape and laying it down as a blanket. Thanks.
24, you say?
64.
64. I do, in fact, have the mushroom list for the record. It just tastes like old leather, Xander. You're like, no, it's good. It just tastes like an old, yeah, an old boot from an old sailor that has just been out to sea way too long. And when he sort of watches your face, he just sort of slowly puts the mushroom back down, and he's like, "Thanks, Rayonde. You're a chum."
And Karrin, seeing the disappointment on Xander's face, kind of holds up a berry and like makes to throw it at him.
Xander, it tastes like beef stew, but like great beef stew. like your grandma would make, like the kind of hearty meal that you actually really haven't had, quite frankly, in years, because you guys sort of subsist on mercenary rations and whatever you can find at the inn you just happen to be passing through. It's great.
Delicious. It goes really well with this mushroom, actually.
Yeah, and with its leathery bouquet. Yeah.
It's delicious.
You see, he sort of like flits out of your arms and like down and sits in front of you, Helene. And he very much like looks at you and then puts both of his little hands on the side of your face and like smushes his face to yours and looks to you like eye to eye. And he's like, "You're special. You're special like he's special. Wait, where did he go? You haven't told me yet."
Yeah, we'll see him again when he wants to be seen. And thank you.
You're welcome. I'm special too. And he just like plops down in a heap and like throws some berries into his mouth. And he like puts his trunk in the fountain of purple liquid and like swoops it in his mouth and is like, "So, tell me how you guys got here." Meanwhile, Aiden.
Yeah.
What do you do when you very clearly see that you evade them, like their heads swiveling, but no clue where you are?
Horrible.
Mhm.
I am making my perimeter sweep, but I'm really trying to find that Breeze voice. But also being useful. That was definitely the objective here.
Okay, well, give me perception.
24.
As you make your way through, it is essentially what you were told it was. Although as you make your way through, you see a scene as you move some distance, which again, through the wonder of technology, I can show you exactly what you see. Some distance away from you, you see a huge shaggy beast. It probably um, at the shoulder, it stands twice as high as a man, with fur draped down to the sides and long horns that come outwards and twist upwards. And it is just slowly walking along, just like munching on some grass there. But you notice across the way, you see what looks like an elf, but they don't really quite look like anyone that you've ever seen before. Like they're roughly brownish, like a wood elf, but it's almost like a brownish gray. They're almost ashen colored, almost like the lichen on a tree instead of the wood itself. And they are covered in furs and things and the trappings of a hunter. And they have a spear and they're clearly following this thing. You grew up wild. You know what a hunt looks like. Yeah. We'll say you get it 24. I'll say you clock it at 120, 200 feet out, some distance. Neither of them have spotted you yet.
Something, it's dumb and I'm distractible, but something about this feels just a little bit nostalgic. I'm gonna flank around the beast and come up alongside the hunter so I can get into eye line and draw my bow and just silently make an offer of
Yeah. Hold on a second. They sort of eye you for a moment, very much trying to figure out like if this stranger is a friend or a foe type thing. But after a moment, they just go, when you look up, there's 6 more in the trees. They're sort of looking like bows drawn and taut. A couple of them have spears, like looking towards this thing. There's like, and they're like, and they all start to draw. And do you shoot when they shoot?
I do.
You all there enjoying the picnic in the giggle water. You do hear boom, 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 boom. As this titanic beast sort of like starts crashing through the trees as arrows and spears rain down on it.
Woo!
And Goldie
a few
just
more arrows. Get a few arrows of my own.
Goldie's like, oh no, they're hunting. They're gonna ruin the picnic. And he starts like scooping up the berries like by the armload.
I think the twins are gonna kind of quickly kind of duck out of the way. Like they hear something running towards them, they're gonna start moving into a position where they won't get run over.
Do give me your attack roll, Aiden. Let's see how firmly you strike it.
Let's see. 19 plus 8, 27.
It's you seeing the beast, seeing that it is essentially like a gargantuan musk ox type thing. Where do you try to put your arrow into it? Because with 27, that's kind of wherever you want.
Yeah, I want to get up under the jaw. Try to go for some of that good vasculature that's near the surface up there and isn't as massed as on top.
Not trying to get around the bony bits, right? All of you can give me your perception checks. Those of you that are still at the picnic, you clearly hear this like 6,000-pound thing, like trumpets on purpose for everything in a mile to know something's wrong. But we was like, to what extent? Oh, did somebody say 5?
I put that dice in timeout. It's going away now. I'm trying another.
No, you're doing the important thing. Like, yeah, hey, when Goldie said pick up the food, Helene, priorities. Like I imagine you got like mouth like partially onto this purple spray, still like, no, we're good. Yeah.
I got a 4, so I'm probably doing the same thing.
Xander is still smuggling mushrooms, really, just trying to get one in Goldie's mouth when he's not looking, you're like, it's no, I'm gonna get him. What did Karrin and Kerrin get?
15.
15, and Rayonde?
25.
Rayonde, as you hear and you kind of reach for your bow, both Karrin and Kerrin and Rayonde, you're aware that whatever this is, it is coming this direction. Rayonde, you see up in the trees 6 bodies, like leaping from branch to branch, like leap, like shooting down at something. Aiden, you see it does, like several of the arrows kind of hit and stick into it, and it thrashes its head wildly and like smashes through the rock where you see the first person you spotted was, but they sort of tumble out of the way and come up and stab at it with a spear, and it takes off running back in the direction that you came. Boom, 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 as you see them going after it through the trees.
All right, clearly this situation demands, in effect, bull riding. I'm going to dash and make my jump, and we're going to go for this with blades, because little arrows, 6,000-pound thing. We're doing this like a man.
Well, give me acrobatics.
Absolutely. 17.
Let's see. Hang on. It's big, but it's moving quickly. Okay.
Sorry, 18.
18. Yeah, it's big, but it's moving quickly. You are basically able to like parkour off of a rock and kind of get up onto its back. Right before you bury your daggers in it, give me a perception check. Or what's your passive?
19 is my passive.
As you spring and like your heart's pounding in your chest here, as you see like the 2 more of these wild looking elves have appeared on the ground. So there's about 9 of them now. There's 3 on the ground and 6 in the trees as they're like moving through, and you are up on its back. You see a 10th person just for a second standing in the trees. They are wearing a black robe and a hood that is pulled down over their face, but they're standing there like this, watching this whole thing transpire. As you, like, it's kind of out of the corner of your eye. As you, yeah, roll it.
13.
And it turns its head and pink, just on one of those bony outcroppings of horns that you feel are probably 8 inches thick on its head, if not more than that, as it's running. You all at the picnic very much see the silhouette of this thing coming into frame now.
I would like to try and tempt it over with one of the berries and see if she can't like distract it and get it to like run towards the food and like kind of calm it so the rest of them can get it.
Give me animal handling. It's kind of freaked out right now, but these are some good berries. So,
All my dice are going to jail. I rolled a 6, and I don't think I have a bonus to that. No, I do not.
I just appreciate you're like, hey, want some berries? You're like, come on, you big old boy, your berries.
No,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, this one tastes like peach cobbler. It's insane, Helene. Like, no two of them are the same, but they're all magnificent. Rayonde, again, you see it the furthest out, and you are aware of the fact that Aiden is on its back now. What does Rayonde do?
Well, I mean, obviously Aiden needs my help, so I'm gonna try to catch up to it and jump on.
Oh, it's coming towards you. Like, yeah, you'll have
Oh,
a.
I mean, easier then. It's time for some acrobatic flips of my own.
Well, have at it. Yeah, I'll give you acrobatics to see if you can get on board, and then we'll see what you do.
18.
It's you tell me how Rayonde does it. I mean, again, Aiden is essentially on the back of this this oversized hairy steer. I'll even say with your 25, you see him sort of like stab at it and kind of pull his hand, like hit the wrong part.
I wait until it's about to run through 2 different trees, and then I jump back and forth between the 2 trees like a zigzag, up like this. And then as the beast is passing between the 2 trees, I jump out and swing on a branch, do a little flip, and land right behind Aiden.
And that's a high enough roll, and quite frankly, the rule of cool is such that when you land, Aiden, you see your friend do this.
So I thought you could use some help, but it would be rude if you've already claimed this one, Aiden. So before I have at it, with you.
Oh, we're in company. This one doesn't get claimed by either of us, but hey, I mean, I guess it's all hands. I don't know.
Do you think they'll be offended if we bring it down, if we finish it?
I did not have extensive conversation. I did not have extensive conversation.
Boom! Its shoulder kind of just like splinters a tree as every once in a while it like whips its head around and its horn just like shatters things as it's moving through the forest. But once you land on it, do you attempt to strike it, Rayonde?
Well, yes, obviously it's quite injured, and for this to be a good, clean hunt, we have to put it out of its misery. So I'm gonna pull out my sword, flip it around, and try to stab it right through the brain case of this creature.
Roll it.
Kill it painlessly.
Because you still see the arrows coming out of the air.
Helene tries to catch a couple like berries in a row with an arrow, like to make like a berry shish kebab.
I got a 16 on the attack too.
But to say, you wouldn't have thought like pineapple, wine, Gruyere cheese would work, but it doesn't not work. I mean, it doesn't not work. As you were nibbling. 16 Rayonde, the sword bites into it, but it's got a very thick hide. Like you don't even know if you feel like you're not penetrating it. What are the twins doing? I appreciate that you unmuted just to giggles. It never changed, D'Artagnan. What do the twins do? Because again, you all had seen it from the next furthest off.
Yeah, so the twins kind of look at Xander and Helene, and kind of, as long as they're safe, maybe they don't really need to know what's going on. This is fine. So what they're probably going to do, though, does it look like the thing is coming like right towards us, or are we?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it is heading your direction. You definitely would be within range. Like if it whips its horns, it will hit you. But it's not like charging you. It's like coming through this area of the forest, essentially.
Maybe we should move, you guys. Let's move. And I'm going to try and kind of get Helene and Xander to kind of forget about the picnic for like 2 seconds and like move out of the way. Stop eating mushrooms. Let's go.
I have literally rolled 2 1s and a 3 for the creature, so it is like woefully ineffective. Like it tries to like kind of like semi-buck you guys, but it's too big, It just sort of like shoulder rolls into a tree, shoulder rolls into a tree.
I put a berry on its tusk when it gets close.
Yeah,
Do I
another
see this
kebab.
now?
Oh yeah, by now, yeah. Like so much is happening. Like you're quite aware. But wait, but when you say move, do the twins like do anything else other than like we should go?
I think they're gonna just throw a nice little firebolt at this poor creature. See if they can help put it out of its misery at all. You know,
Roll it.
It's the
do a little pre-roasting, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a natural 20 plus 8, so 28.
So again, with that level of accuracy, you tell me where you put it in it. Like its cow eyes are like almost red and bulging with like anger and pain at this point. Like it is in full rage.
I need more d10s. Hold on just a second.
Why is life so hard?
I need more d10s. So do I roll 3 and double it, or do I roll 6 d10s?
You know what? Dealer's choice. What's more fulfilling for you?
More dice.
It's true. It is faster to double it, more fulfilling to roll them all. So yes.
That is not a d10. It's on the floor now. It's gonna have to do. Floor dice or not dice.
Floor dice do not exist.
Gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, this is actually quite a lot, and I am bad at math.
Rogues love as well.
Actually, come back to that. I'm terrible at math. This is going to take a little bit.
Well, what does Xander do?
I would like to highly misunderstand what's going on with the situation and try to use my rope to lasso around like its head and then try to calm it with mushrooms to the face, if I can.
Well, I'm gonna give you two things. First, give me Dex and Athletics to see if you can lasso it.
Okay.
And if you lasso it, then give me Animal Handling to see if you can get its attention.
All right.
That is a 41 for me.
All right, let's see how this goes with Xander first.
And I think in 2 seasons, that's the first time I've ever rolled a natural 20 on an attack.
I think it is too, actually.
You said for the lasso, Dex and Athletics?
Athletics, it's a Dex skill. Athletics to lasso it, and then Animal Handling to try and calm it.
I have something of great importance to tell you. 29 is my lassoing.
All right, so you all see that Xander, like, you don't know why he had like a 70-foot lasso handy, but he was just like, yoink, you do get a rope on it, and then give me Animal Handling.
That is a 19.
I coiled that rope for him.
You said that's...
It was a gift, and I'm glad he's putting it to good use.
It's true. Normally it is thankless work, Rayonde, but not this time. Not this time.
As I pass Rayonde, I'm like, thank you for the rope.
You put the lasso and sort of dig your heels in. I mean, again, this thing is gigantic, but it is slowing as it's been wounded, Xander. And you kind of dig your feet in, and kind of, it's true. Thou doth hoist. Yeah. And you see like its head kind of whips around, and you're like, hey, take this mushroom. And
eat it.
You feel it half bites you, half snaps it. Like you're not quite sure if it's trying to bite you or going for the mushroom, but it does bite into it. And you know what? Let's see what it does to the
guy.
Yeah, to this like face deer thing. It bites into it, and it looks at you confused for a second, and its eyes and tongue turn blue, and the fireball hits it in the side of the neck. And then
Helene covers the eyes of their new little friend. So, because she goes, I respect your life choices of being a vegetarian. And covers
no! And he does this sort of like bury his face in your hair, like you hear, yeah. And it just slides to a halt in the middle of the forest. And for a split second, everything is completely silent. You see...
What are the elves doing?
For a second, they just stand there. And then they like start coming down. Do any of you speak Celestial? They say to you in a language that, yeah, Helene understands it too. Oh, yeah. They say, Aiden, You don't know why you understand this. You can't recall ever having been taught it. You just understand on an intrinsic level. The one that you saw that was approaching looks at you. The rest of them are wearing, most of them have on helmets that are like, look like they're carved out of like wood or like various like rocks and things to like very much blend in. Looks at you and just says, not bad, but a bit premature. We were trying to rush the beast further back to our home. It will be a great burden to move all of this meat, but your assistance is much appreciated.
I, glad to help. I'm Aiden.
Helene, you understand this. To the rest of you, it is almost like they're singing. It is almost like it walks up and it's like, and Aiden replies in a way that you're not at all accustomed to hearing him talk. It's a little like halting, but it is like a call and response type thing.
Aiden, can you understand them?
Yeah, it's a thing here. You can just speak and you'll understand them.
Oh, I want to try.
Well, it's not working for me.
Doesn't work for us either.
I'm gonna try, and I'm like,
Helene, you were taught Celestial because it is your family worships the Celestials. You come from a long line of servants of the Celestials, which you famously were the first one to choose not to be. So you very much know Celestial when you hear it.
Yeah, I think that's a you thing, Aiden. Because I know it. I was taught it, but yeah, that's a you thing.
Are you saying that Aiden is an angel? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, he's an Asmar.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up! I
I
turn
mean,
back to
that
the.
probably seems kind of off. It's not really what I'm expecting when I think angel. No offense, Aiden. I think you're very cool, but the angel was.
I smack him with the butt of my dagger.
It turns and it like looks back towards you, and it like looks at all of you for a second, and you see it raises its hands and starts performing an incantation. You see it casting something, and you see a swirl sort of like goes around its head and like centers over its mouth and over its ears, like sparkling, and it is like, hello, can you understand me now? And it looks right at you, Xander, and it's like, I assumed you did not mean to insult my mother in such a grievous way. It must have been a simple miscommunication.
Of course, I was trying to say hello. I didn't know. I'm sorry. And I shyly kind of.
You see the two that were on the ground, which most of you did. Xander, actually, Rayonde, you saw them, that there were two on the ground and six in the trees. To the rest of you, it's sort of like these other ones just kind of start materializing. And you see they start like throwing ropes over the carcass, kind of like securing it. And they like, this is slightly problematic. We normally would dress the beast when we can say the proper prayers closer to home. We must decide.
How far are you? I look to Helene and make a kind of like what gesture.
I can make it fly, I can make them fast, or I can turn it into a fart until it gets to the village. We can fan it.
Does that
You
work after it?
make it into a fart.
I mean, they're all solid options.
Well, not the last one. That's a gas.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been episode 5, Dungeons & Dragons Darkened Wish. We'll see you all next week for Xander's untimely demise. Thanks. How dare you? Yeah, but yes, Sorry, that is what Helene says.
So let's maybe turn it into a fart then. That seems like a good option.
Would that help? How far out are you?
Mm.
I didn't get your name.
It sort of looks at you for a moment, and it just steps forward and just like pokes you right in the center of the chest. And you have this intrinsic understanding that its name is like the sound that a brook makes when it's like bubbling through rocks. Just that slight babbling brook sound.
Nice to meet you. Dang, I should have gotten a name like that. That's nice.
It says my name is, and then it just thinks for a second, and it's like Brooke.
Yeah, I think that's close enough for common.
You hear the other ones like sort of like kind of like snicker a little bit because apparently in Celestial, Helene, especially with your command of it, and you, Aiden, being body, what they're actually, when they say my name is Brooke, when it goes back into Celestial, it's more like, honestly, like they're saying piss. And so the other ones are kind of giggling. They're like, Brooke. Yeah. Yeah. And it turns basically it's like grow up, we're in front of guests. Yeah.
Layers of meaning. No, how far out is home? We can try to help you get this back. If that'll help. I mean, if that's okay.
Yes, we would drive the beast for. And you see, it looks like very confused. And Goldie's like, I may be able to help. I have spent some time on the prime material plane, and the way that you all measure time and distance is kind of not a thing here. Look, see those trees? How tall are they? I don't know. They're tree tall. How far do they live? I don't know. Till their village.
So then we definitely can do it. That is definitely a distance that we can do, because that sounds like magic, and we're talking about using magic, so they'll magic together. That's how it works, right?
I do think that maybe the fly is a better idea than the gas, because I'm not entirely sure we have enough time to fan it all on our own. At least with the fly, we can tether it with ropes and drag it behind us.
It'd be a group project, but all right. And Helene will walk over and she'll cast fly on it.
For the record, it did eat the mushroom, and I did roll on it, and it rolled the color blue. So this creature's last moments were like, wait, what? Boom!
I had that one. It's great.
Yeah, Xander, is it still muscle?
Yeah, they have it under, and it begins to rise off the ground, and you
so it's like a balloon, right? It's like a parade float balloon.
Yeah, but like a parade float of murder, though. Like, I mean, it has been stabbed and shot repeatedly and burned. Like, no, it's very dead. Yeah, it is like a parade for you, Aiden. That is true. Like, if you would think if there was going to be a parade in your honor, this would kind of be it.
Right. See, this is it.
Also, I will say all four of you, in your own way, realize the accuracy and lethality with which the twins struck this thing down. Like, a lot of times they've been disappointed with themselves in combat, but this time you realize they very much were like, okay, aim, breathe, step forward, push, follow through.
Oh, I noticed. I'm very proud of my pupils.
It's a good place, and it brings out the best in you for murder.
The bucket training's been paying off, I see.
And like you just see like kind of this far off look of horror in your face at the name at the mention of the bucket. And then like, yes, we've been practicing a lot. Maybe it's just this place feels a lot like home.
As you see this thing sort of lift off the ground a little bit, you get a very clear look. It's like, they nailed it kind of like right behind the jaw and like a nerve cluster type thing, like just under the horn, right behind the muscle, just like surgical. Bang. They Brooke turns back and looks at you and says, would you all like to accompany us back to our village so that we might welcome you as guests and thank you properly?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, that'd be okay, right, guys?
Yeah, I'd like that.
That'd be cool with me.
Am I holding on to that rope?
Oh, yeah, you can be, sure. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm also...
You definitely lassoed it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be on top of it when it flew, so if I'm holding onto the rope...
You could be on top of it when it flew, sure.
Where's it going?
Helene tries to kind of take away some of the ropes unevenly to try and knock Xander off just for fun. It's like a mechanical bull, but in the air, and
just a little bit of that, yeah. You notice the natives very quickly catch on to this. Roll athletics, Xander, because if you get knocked off, they're super going to want to turn as you guys are like moving it through the woods. Aiden, as you're walking along, you hear that breeze on the wind say, you never leave a good deed undone, do you, Aiden?
What's going on? Who's in my head?
The rest of you see he's sort of like, everybody's sort of like laughing and kind of having a good time. You kind of can't help it. And then Aiden's sort of like head on a swivel, look around. But the rest of you don't hear anything.
Are you okay? What are you hearing?
Someone's still out there. Maybe it was that... I thought I saw... I mean, there's no one there now.
What did you
think you saw?
I described the figure in black. I only saw him for a second. I was I was distracted. But I don't know, something... There's a whisper on a wind here.
Does that sound familiar to you guys? Helene will ask the twins.
Can we roll for it?
I will throw it under the blanket of your previous 20. I mean, there are a number of robed figures in this world, but there's nothing about Arborea in particular that you're like, oh, that was probably blah, spirit of the forest. Like, no, nothing like that.
Nothing immediately comes to mind. There are a lot of robed figures in, the realms.
Yeah, robes are comfy.
Can Helene make an Arcana check to see if there's like something?
Sure, and I will give the twins an Arcana check because there's a chance they might realize something. Back to dice jail, Helene?
Yeah, it was a 3.
I mean, Aiden's messing with you again, like he might have got a little too deep in the giggle water, you know what I mean, Helene? It's just like...
Yeah, which is an 11, even with the modifier. It's not good.
Yeah, it was just a 7 for me. I don't think that the twins necessarily don't believe Aiden, more that they just don't know what he could be referencing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As you all are walking, all of you give me your perception checks again.
Dirty 20?
Dirty 20. What was that, Aiden?
19.
15 for Xander.
15.
19 for Rayonde.
19, and Helene?
New dice, 15.
As you all are making your way through the woods, you start to hear those of you that got a 19 realize that we'll say if you all are pulling your glorious trophy balloon through the woods, you definitely notice you've kind of like gathered like crows and like predatory birds sort of like wheeling overhead here because you're carrying about 6,000 pounds of meat through the forest.
I'm like swatting them away on time.
But oh yeah, no, they very much are like trying to land on it, like get some of that sweet eyeball action going, get rid of them. But if you all are essentially we'll say on the face of a clock, if you all are moving from 6 to 12, the growling is coming from about 2 o'clock in sort of like a thicket type of area growing up between some trees. Like a thick row of bushes. They're almost brambles. It sounds with the 19, sounds about the size of maybe like a big dog. Like not like a bear, but it's like a big Rottweiler were growling. Like it is menacing but not monstrous.
Smaller than a Peter Parkour.
Oh, definitely. Say, does it sound
definitely no, it's smaller than a Peter Parkour. Yep.
And for the dirty 20?
It is under the bushes.
And I think Kerrin and Karrin kind of quickly grab Xander, Rayonde, and Aiden's attention and kind of point differently, and then they sort of elbow Helene and kind of like give a quick head nod.
I pull out my crossbow.
You notice the elves that you are traveling with do not seem fazed by this at all.
Hey, Brooke. You hear that? What is that?
They are just trying to impress us with their toughness. Go, look. Just do not attempt to touch them. They will give you a nasty sting.
All right, I go on up ahead.
Helene will too.
As you all slowly approach these bushes, like the growling gets louder until you hear, "Stop right there. We will shoot."
Are you trying to surprise me with your toughness?
Our toughness is often surprising to you giant types, but you will be brought as low as quickly as you brought down that magnificent creature. And down along the bushes, there is a slight ruffling, and you see, again, what I've sent you through the wonder of modern technology. You do see a creature that looks almost like... It is almost like a cross between a lion and a dog, like if those Chinese statues of lions were actually real. It's got sort of a flat head and a furrowed brow with an almost human nose with wicked fangs in it. And it is wearing a silver collar, and it's got wickedly clawed feet, and it is like growling at you. But around it, you see several very small humanoids. These are pixies. They're maybe 6 inches tall, but they've got swords and bows out, and they look very serious. As they're looking at you like, keep moving.
Helene pulls a berry out of her bag and leans down and breaks it in half and gives half of it to the little dog thing, and then breaks the other half in a couple of different pieces and offers it to him.
Give me animal handling. It does not feel friendly. Let's see if you can make it so.
Damn, it's another 5.
Hang on, let me just double check something here.
I'm melting all of my dice.
Get out of the way. Yes, no, I don't want that. I'm like, be gone. They're all like, hello, are you interested in this ad that is like showing a video for like PBS Kids? I'm like, I am not, actually.
I am.
It's not a good time.
Yeah, it's true. Of course, I'm finding everything but the thing I'm looking for. That was a 5, you say? It growls at you for a second, and it's like, I'm not in the mood for eating unless it is giving a nip to a beautiful young girl.
No need
to
fight.
Yeah, and the pixies are like, gaze upon the ferocity of our beast. And one of them shoots the other half of the berry with an arrow, Helene, and reels it back in with a cord, and is like, ha-ha! Oh, no, that is delightful. Hey, no, focus. Yes. This is our territory. You giants will not invade. You will find us more than ready to defend our homes against the likes of you.
Just passing through, just helping transport some cargo, not meaning any trouble. Hi, salutations. I'm Aiden.
This is the crew.
I'd like to slide down off the bowl thing now. Crew. And you can decide whether that is, a fantastic slide or I'm falling on my face. Really.
You can still roll it. Let's see how smooth you do it. We'll let fate decide how smooth it is.
Am I doing athletics or just a normal D20?
Athletics or acrobatics. I'll give you either one.
Does a 15 work?
Yeah, I would say it is not flashy, but it is like definitely you get it done. Like, boom.
As I land, I would like to say, have you guys tried mushrooms before? I think you're really going to like this.
You are a terrible influence on the creatures of every plane, Xander.
So proud.
So irresponsible.
Love it.
And like, we are not interested in your Burning Man festivities.
You are clearly fearsome warriors, and it is only right if we are passing through your territory that we should share this bounty with you, as long as it's okay with our fellow hunters. And I look up at the celestial elves.
You see, it sort of like looks at you for just a second, and they're like, let us give you another display of our power, fearsome red dragon. You speak with respect, but you may underestimate us, as so many of you giants do. And he snaps his fingers. And I will cover your awareness of what this creature is with still your level 20 and your encyclopedic knowledge of Arborea, Karrin and Kerrin. This is called a foo creature. And you notice it's sort of like, it goes, I'll show him. And it starts to like glow with a bluish light. That is actually, it is very bright and clean. You all have seen radiant energy before, but it goes, and a second one appears right next to it with the exact opposite color pattern of the first one. And it just, the new one turns and is like, Are we doing battle? No, we are not doing battle yet, but we are prepared to do battle. We present our chests for battle. And it very much like sticks its chest out. And the second one looks at you all and does the same thing.
I mean, that's easily twice as threatening as it was before, and I consider me threatened.
The twins kind of kneel down and say, we promise we will not invade your territory again. We offer this token of surrender. And like they pull out maybe like a little trinket from one of their bags and offer it to the pixies.
They sort of look at that. They're like, that in 2 berries, and we will accept your surrender.
And they pluck a couple of berries from the stash that we have and add that to the pile.
And they're
Thank
like,
you for allowing us to pass.
They surrender! Ah! And you hear from inside the bushes like a chorus of tiny little voices like, woo, yeah, victory, yeah, woo, woo. Yeah.
They pass from your land safely?
Yes, and thank you for approaching us with respect in your diplomacy. It is not your fault that you would have been crushed by our tremendous might, but we acknowledge the wisdom of your perceptive abilities. And the first dog, I know you had to step away for a second there, May. It summoned a second dog. There's 2 of them now. The first dog very much walks forward with its like chest out, very proud. And it walks up to you and it's like, thank you for the offer of the berry. I was prepared to do war, but now I will accept your tribute.
Oh, well, you are very welcome, your most adorableness.
Do you feed it a berry?
I do indeed.
Yeah. Victory tastes like watermelon. And it turns around and it looks back and it goes, oh, and the second one howls, and you see the pixies throw their heads back and howl. And they were like, we will tell the song of victory over the gargantuan red worm and the flaming haired woman and the multiple elves and the dark one, and points right at you, Aiden, who was so sly, and the peddler of mushrooms, who said to addle our minds and yet we stayed resolute. And they're like,
I try to feed the one that was popped that doesn't know about the mushrooms yet. I'm overwhelmed by its cuteness, and I would like to make it my friend.
Give me persuasion. It is an intelligent creature, so you can convince it nobody notices that Aiden tries to slide.
You try to make friends with this creature by giving it an unpredictable narcotic.
Well,
just walk me through what your thought process is here, Xander.
Okay, give them something awesome, then they'll like you?
Everyone likes surprises, okay? So you can't really go wrong with this one.
Not me, I don't like surprises.
I believe
that. I try all the time for your benefit. It's never for me. I got a 19, by the way.
I think
oh, go ahead. What he say?
Kerrin has kind of sidled up next to Aiden, is just holding his hand.
Oh, so sweet, Aiden. Making friends everywhere.
Come on, you have to have heard that, right?
Nope.
What's going on? This place it's really good. And then it's like me, and then it's not, and then it hates me. And then what's going on here?
Xander, you see this thing just like slurps it out of your hand and like chomps for a second, and it goes, it tastes like mushroom. I don't know. And it doubles in size. It goes from the size of a small dog to probably like Great Dane size.
Oh, I'd like to.
And the pixies all turn and look at it and go, ah! And they're all, and you hear this chorus go through all the brambles of like pixie voices. And the first dog that summoned the second one looks at it like, it wouldn't be like that if I had not brought it here.
Well, if you come with me, there are more goodies to be had.
No, we are on. You are a scoundrel. You go.
I have another.
You all hear Brooke is like, friends, we must move out of their territory and let them celebrate their grand victory. And the pixies are like, yeah, that's right. You tell them. Don't try it around here. The bush is ours.
And Karrin is going to go over to Xander and just kind of gently take him by the arm and start to lead him away.
The dog.
We'll get you a dog. It's okay.
The pixies you hear like cheering and whooping, and like music is starting, and like one pixie has dropped its bow and just like grabbed another one to kiss it because they won the war. And they look back at you and they're like, we will tell the story of the day that you came and suffered a crushing defeat, but that was unavoidable. But you have left with dignity and heroism, and you are welcome to return at any time. Especially you, flame-haired goddess of the berry. And it sort of like picks it up, like buries his face in this half berry that you gave it.
Thank you very much. And she'll give the dog a little butt scratch above the tail as she walks away.
The bigger one or the smaller one?
Yes.
Because I was gonna say, if you scratch the bigger one, the smaller one looks clearly disappointed. Yeah, and yeah, and you do, and it is just like, I understand why things look easier and better from up here. I am now Lord of the Brambles.
You are. We have to get you a cape eventually. It's the only way to be a true lord. See, like my friend Rayonde here.
You have spoken the truth. Thank you. I will continue to watch over my people in strength and bigness. And it very much like flares its chest.
See you soon, almighty tallest. And bow forward.
Yeah.
I start singing the Doom song. So.
It's true. Sing all the way till you get to town. Exactly. You know, doom, doom, to doom, doom, doom. The end. Not gonna get us a DCMA. As you leave again, this sweeping celebration goes up through the hedge, and you can see once they realize that you all have been defeated, pixies start. You realize they're from the hedge all the way up to the tree. There's thousands of them, and you realize for the size of this tree, it's probably like their own water deep. You can see there's like, once you can kind of get close enough to pay attention, there's like inside little areas where they've carved little shops, and there's like housing areas and things that just look like moss and just patches of nothing all over the tree. Once you start to you see it, you're like, oh, that's like a little school. Okay. And like, that's it. Like, they're like a little farm in there. Like, oh, all right. You know, that's nice. You know,
Next time we should bring them a beanstalk. I'm just curious.
I mean, that's writing your own demise, isn't it? But what a way to go. I mean, this place has got such a combination of like nice and also deadly, and like there's sneakiness here. And
can you tell us a little bit more about the voice you've been hearing?
Yes, Aiden, tell them. You know me. Tell them.
You know, I wouldn't even worry about that. It's probably okay. It's just I mean, if something wanted to hurt us, they'd have to actually like come out and get us. So wordy whisper things are a coward's weapon.
True, but sometimes they have a tendency to mess with us in other ways. We don't have the best track record with whispery voices. So you'll have to forgive us for prying a little bit and being a little overly concerned.
I can't get messed with. Not in the brain.
Oh, Aiden, you know the things that hurt the most are the things you never see.
Are you hearing it now? You look a little off.
It's yeah. And I think Aiden just like passes a branch and just snaps it to just try to have a feeling.
You see, as you all leave, and the cheers and shouts, and Yub Nub is coming from the tree as you guys are leaving. Two of those odd wood elves are on the back of this dead beast now, and they're sort of like this like competitive surfing type thing of like this like odd like version of slap. See who's gonna flinch and fall off as it continues to float through the woods here. And I almost closed the call. Good thing I didn't. Cool. And you all make your way further through this forest. Again, you will you see everything that you would expect to see in the woods, but a lot of things that you never would. Again, there's huge moths, like the size of your chest, fluttering past. There's odd leafy flowers that you see, like a bird comes along and sniffs at, and the flower just gobbles. There are giant, colorful snakes that shift and scintillate in the light as they crawl through the branches. And again, you never see the sun, and yet it's clearly daylight. It's odd. It's just the sun is everywhere and nowhere at once.
It's really beautiful, isn't it?
I want to take Aiden aside. Like, hey there, buddy. What's what's going on with this voice in your head?
If I knew, I would tell you. Whomst among us, right, has not had the occasional creepy whispery voice, and apparently I just get it here in the nice place, telling me I don't fit in and I'm bad and stuff.
Xander,
Yes.
as boys, you and Aiden would leave and be gone into the countryside for days at a time. And you, more than once, you would hear him talking in his sleep, but he would always deny it.
It's not like when we were younger, you know, it was like nighttime conversations you would have.
Why do you always go back to that? They never happened. They never happened.
Because it happened consistently and quite loudly, to be honest, really. So maybe.
Why must you lie so obviously? Why do you hurt me this way?
I swear. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with you, bud.
I wish I knew.
Are you sure it's not anything to do with those sleep talking times? I'm a little worried for you.
Okay, and what can we do about it then?
I don't know. What is it?
Right. So why are we going into this? Why do we have to focus on the thing that's bad and scary when there's a whole bunch of good stuff here? And maybe we could just ignore all of the things that are bad and scary and making us feel bad. Maybe we just ignore them. Okay. Maybe we just enjoy the nice time and.
Look, I would love to ignore that, but I literally just had a bad experience with a voice in my head where I ended up killing one of our friend, almost twice actually. So,
well, we're not in the Underdark, okay? It's not going to happen here. This is like a good murdery, sneaky forest place.
Yeah, but we haven't really had the best experiences with things that seem good at first.
I just looked at the twins.
So.
Sometimes they're just good things.
Okay. Well, look, if anything suspicious comes up with what it's talking about, please let me know. I would love to help you.
All of you give me perception checks.
27.
Successfully disbelieved over there, twins? You know what it is? Aiden looked in your direction and was like, there's good things. And it was just complete flush, turn to sibling. There's a moment's happening with the twins. I don't know. Maybe they smuggled a mushroom to turn that color. Who could say? Who could say?
I got a 20.
No.
20?
The two of them just have to look at us. That's pretty much how that works.
Helene?
11.
11 and Rayonde?
17.
17. Helene, you are still Goldie is still with you, sort of like flying along, and you two are very much like caught in a game of him trying to like sneak things out of your hair without you noticing, you know, or like tapping you on the shoulder with the trunk, and when you turn, trying to like nib and like take, yeah, like, and that was how much for Rayonde?
17.
And I think Aiden was by far the highest with that. Do any of you have a passive higher than what you rolled? What's your passive?
But I rolled a natural 1, so I don't think it matters.
True, yeah. No, I'm gonna go ahead and trump your passive with that though. Aiden, is you're like, no, this is good. There's good things here, and you all again have gotten this like not insignificant mass of carrion birds. overhead now. Like you've even spotted like, you know, the odd raccoon. Well, like the standard things you would expect to show up in the forest is the cleanup crew, kind of like eyes poking out of the bushes. Like, you know, it's a pretty nice carcass. Be a shame if something were to happen to it, type thing. You see 3 very large pairs of wings go overhead. One's about 7 feet wide, one's about 10 feet wide, and one's about 15 feet wide. Just
Big birds. Big birds. 3.
Birds? Huh?
Wings. The other things with wings here? I don't know. Are there? Are there? Do people have wings here?
you see Brooke looks at you and is like, "Oh yes, friend. Many things go by wing here, dare I say more than by foot. You have nothing to fear as long as you're not evil," and just like slaps you on the arm with a smile. Helene, you feel a sort of buzzing at the base of your spine. It's kind of the base of your skull, really. It is not unlike the feeling of like if you touch your tongue to a battery, but it's just like it's not unpleasant, but it is unusual. You felt it before when your family on the high holy days would, I mean, the really important days, would gather to make offerings and offer prayers. You would feel there was an electricity in the air, like the gods were really listening. You remember it, it gave you goosebumps. You just never quite understood it because everyone else, they just went with it and they were so happy. But you were like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how is this happening? Like, you were so cerebral by it, which was one of the first times when you were so young, when you realized you weren't like them because you couldn't just go with it. You had to understand it, but you never could. It feels like that same electricity.
She'll look to the twins and go, do you feel that at all?
Feel what exactly?
And she'll describe that feeling essentially and be like, that it's that thing.
What Karrin and Kerrin are experiencing, I mean, besides shocking redness of Senpai noticing you, is, it's the pressure is the word that comes to mind, but it is not the word that I mean. It is almost an altitude. The fact that, Arborea is just different, but to a certain level, it does speak to your elven heart. Is you're like, we could just like cut loose and live in these trees forever. Like Waterdeep's kind of garbage, honestly. Like this is
not enough trees, just not enough.
Yeah, no, I mean you're feeling pretty at home, but the electricity that Helene is describing, no.
No, we don't feel what you're feeling, but it sounds amazing.
Maybe it's different for all of us.
We haven't felt anything particular since we got here.
Neither have I.
Keep your eyes out, and if anybody feels anything or hears any more weird voices, just speak up about it. And there's whatever that is going on with me. I'm not sure what.
You all hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Aiden is hearing voices, and you are feeling this strange feeling. Both of you could speak the language of this place. Maybe there's a common thread there.
You all hear from everywhere and nowhere, all at once, just sort of echoing on the wind through here. Oh, weary travelers. Do you come into this place as friend or foe?
You all hear that, right?
You do all hear that.
Friend? Yes?
The twins look to the other elves for a cue.
Again, they don't seem bothered by it. You know, they do just sort of like idly like look up a little when they hear it. They hear it, you know. But the ones that are served, like one of them looks up and the other one sort of like stomps on the beast and it makes them fall. And it's like, ah, and another one sort of like jumps up. They're like kind of have this king of the mountain thing going up there.
If you stand for truth and justice and the freedom of heart to decide what is truly good, then we stand with you, all of us.
Oh, what a pleasing answer. You do your ancestors proud, Dragonborn. And you all see up in the sky, glowing out of nowhere, 3 very large people. One of them is about 7 foot tall, one of them's about 12 foot tall, and one of them's about 15 feet tall. The smaller one is sort of a pale, almost alabaster with a blue tinge. The middle-sized one definitely is like blue, like the clear sky in the daytime, and the larger one is so blue as to almost be black, but they are radiant and they are spectacular. They are breathtaking to behold. And they stand in midair with wings extended that they don't necessarily beat to stay aloft, but they appear looking at you smiling. And they're like, worthy heroes, might we come down and treat with you?
Do I recognize these creatures?
You can give me Arcana or Religion checks. Any of you can.
What if I spend that time hiding?
You're gonna hide?
I just,
yeah.
all I know is, as long as you're not evil, and for some reason I
just felt like maybe you shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Just maybe behind someone, something, some 6,000 pounds on.
When you see 17, all right, Helene, you're all welcome to roll. I mean, what these are is not necessarily a secret.
Oh, I roll.
Again, roll the disbelief. You're like fireball. 2. Yep. Hey, we already established you never understood it, Helene. So really, the dice, it's on brand. It's on brand. Yeah, you're like, that could be anybody. I don't like yeah. Aiden, when you sort of are like, cool, that voice is like, see, you know you're not like them, no one told you to hide.
I've done bad things. Doesn't make me an evil person. Just means I'm sometimes misunderstood.
Oh, I understand you, Aiden. I always have.
Why are you here now? Why are you doing this?
You finally started listening. For the rest of you, these 3 figures come down, and again, they are literally awe-inspiring in the traditional sense of what the word awesome means. And one of them, the biggest one, has a gigantic maul in his hands, but I mean, he's wielding it casually. It's just like resting on his shoulder. Like there's nothing threatening about them. The other 2 have swords and scabbards. Honestly, I lost track of who rolled what, so I will just tell you the smaller one is a Deva. The 10-foot tall one is a Planetar, and the biggest one is a Solar. They are celestial creatures. They are essentially embodiments of justice. So when you were like, if you stand for truth and justice, they're like, oh, word? They're like, we are literally incarnate justice, you know? So they come down to the ground, and the big one, he's nearly 3 times your size, Rayonde. But he sort of just like drops the hammer and it like cracks deeply into the ground. Boom. And like very much like goes to give you the warrior grip, like his whole, like your whole arm kind of like is almost in his palm. He's like, well met, friend. What are you known as, Dragonborn?
I am Rayonde of the White Sails. These are my
Glorious.
companions. Helene, Xander, Karrin, Kerrin, and Aiden.
Where is this Aiden? As they sort of like look around and you guys know he's gone.
Oh, he just went to go pick some berries. That's all. It probably nothing. It's fine.
He often does a little perimeter thing he talks about, just to make sure that we're all safe. He looks after us.
The smaller one, and I say smaller, it's still 7.5 feet tall. In a different context would still be gigantic, but it's much smaller than the other two. Walks over to you, Helene, and it just sort of looks at you for a moment. And it just holds its arms out to hug you.
Helene kind of like nods out of respect and then moves in and also hugs them back.
When it wraps its arms around you and then it folds its wings around you too. And in your, it's like for a second, everything stops, Helene. It's like you're just floating in a golden bliss. And this is probably the first deep breath Helene has taken in years. I mean, not only has it been a rough few weeks objectively for you and your friends. I mean, you've been living as a mercenary on the high seas now, although you've had your high moments. It's been a strenuous, difficult life. Never really having a good night's sleep because you don't know if the alarm bell is going to ring or if Nikto is just going to put you through some drill to make sure. You're always sort of never kind of almost having one eye open all the time, even when you're studying your books. It's just for a second there, everything is okay. And you feel the warmth of this Davis face next to yours, and its mouth is right by your ears. And it says, "Oh, Helene, difficult times lay ahead, my child. But we will never abandon you. We will never, ever abandon you. No matter how dark the night gets or how alone you feel, we are always with you."
Helene, very misty-eyed, squeezes a bit tighter.
And you stand there in this moment with what feels like forever and yet all too short. And you feel the wings sort of unfurl and, the breeze comes back and it doesn't say anything else to you. It just kind of steps back, holding your hands for a moment and gently lets them go.
Thank you for that.
It doesn't say anything else. It just sort of like smiles and nods at you like that. In the middle one, which you all know to be a Solar, turns and looks at the twins and is like, "Elves of a different make. Delightful. From whence do you hail?"
Oh, we're from the woods of, well, the prime material plane. That's where we come from.
It is not without its goodness, but it also can be rather dark and untowards in places, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but Gwyneth is quite lovely.
I have been there before. Tell me. And it sort of looks at you for a second, and you see a bright flash in its eyes. Like, do they know that you love them? And points right at Xander. It's super got a natural 20 on its insight check. It's like, hey, so you're like into that guy. What's up with that? Very much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It very much points at you, Xander, and is like, does he know that you're in love with him? And it's got like this like very innocent smile on its face as it sort of is like craned downward to look at you. Because it's about 10 feet tall.
Um, um, we haven't told him that yet. No.
Ah, I understand. Actually, I don't. Not really at all, but I've observed this sort of thing on occasion. And if I could offer you a word of advice, your life may be long, but his may not be. Don't wait. At least that was what I was told by a very pleasant woman once. She died shortly after, but I feel like that proves the wisdom of her words.
I hide.
Oh no.
You're all
Homer
gonna
in the
be here with
bushes.
me by the end.
It's true. Aiden, I'll say that, you sort of stepped into the shadows, just kind of behind a nearby tree, sort of watching this fairly jovial exchange. You notice that they kind of keep moving with the carcass because again, they need to get it back. But the elves very respectfully put their hands over their hearts and bow to the planetars. Helene, you very much hear them chit chat in Celestial, and they are talking about very common things. Like the Celestials are asking them, have the babies been born yet? Are the crops coming in? The blessings from on high type thing. You get the very distinct impression that the three angels essentially pass through on occasion. It's like a special, it's like the cool uncles stop by type deal. In Aiden, as you're there sort of watching, out of the corner of your eye, you see that person again. They're about 50 feet further away. That you would have to turn your back on the group and go towards them if you wanted to.
I do.
And as you get a little closer, the hood is still up, but they're standing there and they're like, look at that. So much joy, so much peace, and yet you're here in the shadows with me.
Hey, you're in the shadows with me. What are you doing here?
I'm always with you, Aiden. You know that.
You don't belong here.
Neither do you.
Shut up! I want to try to stab.
Okay, roll it.
Oh, perfect. 12.
You lunge forward and you see almost seamlessly just the shoulders rotate and a hand comes out and parries you to the side and grabs your wrist. And it leans in and you can make out just the hint of a face. Who do you think taught you that move? And then just lets go. It doesn't hurt you in any way. Say my name, boy. You can hear. Say it.
Why don't I belong with them? Why can't I belong with them?
Aiden, I am going to send you separately what the name is, because when he says out loud, say it, you are aware on an intrinsic level of what his name is. You have strayed from the path. It wasn't your fault, Aiden. You did what you had to do to survive.
Then why can't... If it's not my fault, why can't I be like them?
Why would you want to? And he pushes the hood back, and you see a man who looks not terribly dissimilar to you, Aiden. He's a bit taller, he's clearly older, crow's feet on the sides of his eyes, and he's got that same sunken dark circles around under his eyes and the same sunken cheeks as you. But in his eyes, in the midst of that blackness, there is dancing sparkles, almost like stars. And he leans down and he's like, You are what your choices have made you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't wish to be anything other than this, and you will never be disappointed.
Harold. That's me.
And you see a wide smile comes across his face. And he says, no one ever told you what you are, but you know.
Did anyone ever tell you?
You see, when he says that, he turns and his eyes very much fall on the Deva, who is sort of separated. And after it spoke to you, Helene, it does not say another word, but it does sort of idly tickle at Goldie's tummy. And it's still kind of there with you, Helene, kind of having a jovial moment. You know, even at one point when you're looking at Goldie, it sort of does like slip a gem out of your hair and give it to Goldie in front of you, kind of like a joke, you know, and you see them having this moment, Aiden. And he looks over and he says, you began like her and are like this. I began like him and am like this. I have watched over you since you were a tiny baby, and I will watch over you until your death. And when he says that, Aiden, you get the quickest lightning glimpse of fire and pain.
If I can't be like them, what am I supposed to be?
He leans down and he says, those hunters went into the wilderness to do what had to be done, what the others weren't strong enough to do. Their families will eat. Their families will be clothed. They will live and be warm because someone else, and a long black knife is in his hand, had the strength to do what had to be done.
And then my knife is in my hand. I just run the edge of my blade across his.
When you do that, he says, I brought you here to show you the truth. You all have suffered so greatly and will suffer more, but you needed to see this first.
There's really no way back. If I were different now, I couldn't.
He looks at you and he says, life is long and the path is branching. I stepped into the shadows without fear or complaint. It may yet be possible to find your way back into the light if you so chose.
I understand.
He pulls the hood up and he says, enjoy this time. When you sleep, you will be returned. I will see you in your dreams. And he does just sort of step backwards into a patch of shadow that's behind him. and he's just gone.
I begrudgingly note the professionalism.
You all see when that happens, all three of the angels very much like turn their heads in that direction of the forest. And then they sort of look back at you all and they say, "You all are grand heroes, befitting of the title. Many great deeds await you. Many songs will be sung. Perhaps we will encounter each other again in the higher planes, yes?"
I mean, hopefully we're still living at that point, you know. And I mean, going to heaven would be great, but I just hope the next time we do meet that it's, you know, it's, well, we're still alive, basically, is what I'm saying.
You see the Planetar and the Solar look back at you, and the Solar's like, "Yes, that would definitely be preferable, that you still were living. Although, Rayonde, even for the incorporeal, the afterlife can be glorious for the honored dead."
Wow, that is really reassuring to hear. Actually, that's actually validating of all of the things that that I've been trying to do with my life. So yeah, thanks, bud.
You see for the first time, because they have been fairly jovial since they came down, the Solar looks very serious at you for a moment. And they also sort of like look through you with that same shimmer in their eye. And it's like, "Tell her the time is short." And all three of their wings go out and they're up, and you see them sort of up into the trees and just sort of disappear.
Kerrin has been this entire time kind of just looking back and forth between Karrin and Xander, who probably thinks he's hidden and is actually not hidden, and just why did you call me out?
You all kind of hear the barking of dogs and the giggling of children, and a moment later, Brooke looks at you and is like, "Ah, home." And you all look, and in what is in a clearing, the first clearing that you've seen in this place, sort of ringed by trees, there is a small, very happy looking village. There's wood and thatched roofs. You see older elves sort of walking slowly, being accompanied by older ones. Furs are hanging out, being dried. And you hear people are running up and they're like, happy to see the heroes. And there's a large fire that is burning, clearly prepared for a sacrificial offering. And Brooke turns and looks at you and is like, "Friends, would you join us for dinner and perhaps take our hospitality? Sleep, rest."
Yeah, that sounds great. You have a place for us to rest?
Of course. We have comfortable beds, delightful food, strong wine that I feel like, in Brooke's head turns and look right at you, Aiden, having sort of rejoined the group. "I feel like perhaps you could use a drink. You might have a story to tell."
Sounds like a plan.
And that is a good place for us to stop. Here, relaxing with the wood elves of Arborea, having the first good meal and peaceful night's sleep that you all have enjoyed in some time, because difficult days lay ahead for our young heroes. And with that, I know we've got to get out of here because a little show called Critical Role might be coming up next. So we will see you all next week.